Hey, I'm Allison, and this is Realistically Consistent, where we talk about how to build sustainable fitness, nutrition, and mindset habits that actually last even as a busy mom. I'm here to help get you consistent, not perfect, and on your way to feeling like your best self. I'm so excited to start today's episode with you. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Realistically Consistent. I am really excited to have you here with me today. Really quick, before I dive into today's topic, I just really quickly wanted to go through the fact that we are only a few days away from February, which is crazy. So I'm curious, how has January been going for you? Maybe you've been tuning in to this podcast with the hopes of figuring out how to create some lifestyle changes. And I genuinely want to know how that's going for you. So as I say in most episodes, I do read every message personally. I would love for you to reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram or shoot me an email. I would genuinely love to hear from you. But with that too, if you feel like January just flew by and you haven't really gotten anywhere, no, number one, you're not alone. This month has been pretty crazy. But number two, I would hate to see yet another month pass you by where you feel like you're not making any progress when it could be so very realistic for you. You just need a little bit of extra support. And with February coming up, I am opening up 2 more spots in my coaching program where I will coach you one-on-one and we will go through your current lifestyle and make sure that we are adding on very specific changes that are one, going to move the needle, that are going to make that immediate impact, are going to feel very doable, and come up with the game plan that is going to be long-term and sustainable for you so that we can reach your specific goals. And again, you can make sure that you're going to sustain them. So you can apply for that coaching on my website, AllisonHaleyFitness.com. I'm going to link that in the show notes as well. Now, with that, I want to get into today's episode. And this is kind of another edition of Do You Hear Yourself Say, like we talked about in the last episode. But today I want to know, do you hear yourself saying, I eat healthy, but fill in the blank, just not losing weight. I'm not losing fat. I'm not building muscle. I'm not feeling better. I still feel low energy. I still feel sluggish. Fill in the blank. Do you find yourself saying those things? Or maybe it's, I know I eat right. I know I eat healthy. I know I eat clean. Are you saying one of those things? But then in the next breath also saying, but I don't understand why I'm not reaching my goals or why I don't feel very good today. So that's everything that we're going to be talking about today, is maybe why you might find yourself saying those things. So what I want to start by doing actually is walking you through a typical day of very, very common schedule and routine of clients that I work with when they come to me in the beginning. I have worked with countless clients who come to me and they say, I'm eating well, I'm eating healthy, I just don't understand. And we go through, this is part of the process, we go through everything that they are doing so that we can really pinpoint, okay, where can we start making some of the changes? So this is very typical of a schedule that I will go through with you. And I'm not going to lie, it's a very typical of a schedule of like 2018 me before I knew any better. I was following this plan as well. Okay. So I want to know if this resonates with you. Again, always feel free to message me, but I want to know how accurate I am if this kind of hits close to home. So we're going to start at the beginning of the day with breakfast. Okay. Again, this is a typical, like, you think you're eating clean, you think you're eating healthy, and it's not necessarily bad, but this is an example. And then what we're going to do after we go through this example is where your thinking is correct and where your thinking is maybe a little bit skewed and some of the changes that you can make from there. Okay. So starting with breakfast, you normally skip breakfast. It's a little too busy, or maybe you're picking off scraps from your kids' plates, or maybe you do a fairly decent job and you get yourself some eggs and maybe some toast, throw some cheese on the eggs. Or like I said, most of the time we're just skipping it. Or maybe you're grabbing real quick a protein shake or a protein bar on your way out the door. Next is a mid-morning snack. Maybe this is the first time you're eating for the day and it's what you're calling your breakfast. Okay. And it's a few hours after you've already gotten your day started. Maybe it's the breakfast sandwich that you grabbed on your way into work. Maybe it's a quick yogurt cup. Maybe it's that protein bar, protein shake, or something along those lines. And then we head into lunch. And again, you're probably skipping lunch, or you're grabbing some like snacky foods that we think are good, right? So maybe some fruits, maybe some vegetables, maybe some cheese and some nuts. You kind of have like a little charcuterie mixture going on for your lunch, or you have a salad with like a little bit of chicken on top and lots of lettuce, lots of veggies, and that's what you're consistently eating, but you're getting pretty bored with it. Or, like I said, most commonly, you're skipping lunch because you didn't have time to prep anything or plan anything, and you got busy and you're still on calls, and you think, forget it, I'll just eat when I get home for dinner. After lunch, we maybe have a mid afternoon snack. Maybe this mid afternoon snack is planned for you. Most of the time, it's not planned because you get home from work or your kids get home from school and everybody's starving because the kids are always starving, right? How many times a day do you hear "I'm hungry" coming out of your kids' mouths? It's insane. So maybe you grab that snack with them, and maybe it's a handful of pretzels, maybe it's a little bit of cheese, maybe it's some veggies, some fruit, but you're probably finding yourself snacking now as you're making dinner because you're so hungry. Then we head into dinner. And you know what? Dinner's pretty good. You have a handle on dinner. Sometimes it can be a little bit tough. Sometimes we don't plan ahead of time, but for the most part, you're still sticking with eating a protein, chicken, fish, steak. You've got your veggies, you've got your side. Maybe it's rice or potatoes, or maybe even a little bit of pasta. And you're actually doing pretty good for dinner. So that's where we have this thinking of like, yeah, we're not doing too bad. We're eating pretty healthy. Okay. And that's great. And then after dinner, we do the whole bedtime routine, which takes 45 hours. And then finally, you have that moment to yourself, and it's time to just crash for the day. And then your body starts signaling, hey, I think we're hungry again. And this could be a few different things. Maybe you are still hungry because you didn't get enough calories in your day. Maybe this is just kind of like a habit thing where your body just triggers that quote hunger cue when it's not really hunger, it's just that boredom or just that like, hey, we're used to sitting down with the kids are all in bed and we're grabbing a snack. So this is where, again, you're reaching for the chips, you're reaching for something sweet, you're reaching for that glass of wine, right? And so then again, we're back down this rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't grab that. I didn't need it, but I did it anyways. Why can't I control my cravings? And you're beating yourself up over this time of night when all of the choices that you already made in your day made it really hard for you to fight those cravings anyways, slash, that's why you're having those cravings, and maybe you wouldn't have those cravings if we made different choices throughout the day. So I want to know, was I pretty accurate here? Did any of that hit home for you? I know I gave a few different options, but these are kind of the typical options that I would normally see. And all of those options really aren't bad. So here's what we're going to talk about. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even get to how much water you would be drinking in the day. Because for some people, it's really pretty hit or miss. Either you're doing great with water, you carry your Stanley cup or whatever tumbler around with you everywhere and it's always full, you're doing great on water, or we're like the complete opposite. And we're lucky if we drink like a cup of water in the day. Now, I completely understand your thought process here for clean eating, right? And you're not wrong. All of the things that we're naturally going for and grabbing are clean eating. They are healthy eating. Protein bars, not necessarily a bad thing. Protein shakes, not a bad thing. Fruits, veggies, cheese, nuts, whatever you might be grabbing for, not all bad things, right? So that's where we get in our heads and we start getting confused, where it's like, I'm eating healthy. What's going on? Well, that's what I want to talk about today. When you're eating them in that way, you're typically actually now putting things in your body in a way that is now going to be working against your metabolism instead of with it. So let's walk back through this day and talk about some new suggestions. And not only that, but why the choices that you made initially could be working against you and how this new choice is going to actually support you and support your metabolism. So let's start with breakfast. Number one, if you are skipping breakfast because you're just not that hungry, that is your body signaling to you that something is off. You should wake up hungry in the mornings if you have a metabolism that is working for you. So if you're not feeling that right now, maybe once we start getting our metabolism functioning for us again by fueling it properly, you should start having that hunger come back for you in the mornings. Not only that, but when we wake up first thing in the morning, most of us, as busy moms as we are, we want to reach for that coffee immediately. I want you to pause on the coffee for hopefully at least an hour because we really want to make sure that your brain has time to wake itself up without caffeine immediately triggering, hey, we're here, we're ready to go, let's go. And then your brain doesn't really have a chance to wake itself up when the caffeine's doing that for you, which is another reason that you could be finding that energy crash midway through your day. There's another reason that we're going to talk about as well, but that could be one of them. So the first thing you really want to put into your body is water, okay? Your body is screaming for water. It's probably been a solid 8 or 9 hours since you last had any hydration whatsoever. And again, what is the color of your urine first thing in the morning? That right there should be a signal to you, hey, we need to rehydrate first thing in the morning. Water is the most necessary thing that we need. So let's put that in our body first thing that we wake up every single day. Next thing you want to start your morning with is protein. So again, this is where we're thinking, okay, but I have a protein bar, I have a protein shake. And yes, that's protein, that's great. But what our body is really craving, number one, is whole foods. And number two, a balanced meal. So not just the protein, but we want to make sure that there's complex carbs there, that there's healthy fats there, because all of those things balance each other out to create the whole meal that our guts really need to support our day. Not only that, but the protein bars, the protein shakes, a lot of times those are really high in sugar. And that is going to end up spiking your blood sugar right off the bat. And those quick blood sugar spikes often lead to quick blood sugar drops. And that is exactly why you're probably feeling an energy crash a couple hours into your day as well. And so that combination of sugar and then just protein and the fact that it's normally processed is just all a combination for not what your body needs to start off its day. Now, if you're curious a little bit, like why do we start with protein? My biggest reason for encouraging people to start with that protein, number one, is just the fact that protein is going to help keep you feeling full for longer. That's because protein has a higher thermic effect and it actually requires more energy to digest. So you're actually burning more calories when you're eating protein anyways. So that protein is going to help keep you feeling full for longer and stretch that so you're able to make it a little bit longer between that morning breakfast and afternoon lunch. So again, if you're looking for more information on like why that protein is important, I talk about that in episode 7, I believe. We go way more in depth into all the macronutrients and how they benefit your body and everything like that. But protein is not just essential for people who are resistance training, weight training, working out in general, even though it's more essential for people who are doing those things because your muscles are trying to grow and you need to replenish them. But even if you're not, you want to be shooting for at least 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So again, go back, listen to episode 7. We talk way more about that there. So then if we jump back over to that blood sugar spike, because that again could be another thing that you're doing first thing in the morning when you're having a very kind of high sugar meal first thing in the morning, when your body's blood sugar is rising, the body responds by releasing the hormone called insulin. And insulin is responsible for carrying that sugar, glucose, over to your cells for energy or for storage. Well, if your blood sugar is constantly elevated and doesn't have enough time to come back down, or it's constantly spiking and falling, your hormone ends up getting confused and it ends up focusing more on the storage than actually using it and burning it. Now, it's important for you to understand your blood sugar is going to rise some amount after you eat, no matter what, even if it's not something that has sugar in it whatsoever. It's just something that our body does, again, because glucose is responsible for our energy, right? We want to make sure we're eating food as fuel for energy. So it's going to be rising no matter what, but we want to make sure, again, that we're controlling that rise. We don't want it to rise too much. We don't want it to spike too much. And there are different things that we can do in order to control the amount that our blood sugar is rising. A couple examples would be number one, eat fiber as like the first piece of your meal. So that's like think a couple nuts, veggies. We're going to coat our internal intestinal lining with that fiber so that less sugar can escape into our blood cells, and that's going to help control that spike as well. The second thing that we can do is that right after a meal, we can move our bodies. Going for a little walk, picking up the kitchen, whatever it might be, is going to bring your blood sugar back down after a meal as well. Okay, so back to our day. What should we replace that first meal with? So, ideally, we want to stick with something that could be a little bit more savory on the savory side so that it's not filled with that sugar first thing in the morning. So, we're thinking like eggs or little egg bakes, chicken sausage, turkey bacon, whole grain toast. Maybe even we get into overnight oats or a yogurt bowl that has chia seeds and fruit in it. And so notice how I am throwing out all of these different foods, and I'd like you to combine them all so that, again, we create that really balanced meal of having protein, complex carbs, and healthy fats. Okay. And not only that, it's important to understand too, if you are really aiming for that zero point 0.7 grams or higher of protein per pound of body weight per day, we really want to make sure that we're like hitting the ground running with that protein. And if all we're eating is like one or two eggs and some toast for breakfast, right there, a singular egg only has 6 grams of protein. So maybe you're hitting, if you're having two eggs, 12 grams of protein in the morning if you're just having some eggs and toast. And in order to really hit those goals, again, if you are aiming for even 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight and you weigh 130 pounds, 130 grams of protein. If you break that down across 3 meals and a snack or two, you're going to want to be hitting about 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. So that 12 grams of protein right there that you're having for breakfast with just your two eggs and slices of toast, that's not really going to cut it. That's where we want to add in maybe some sausage or some yogurt or something along those lines, some cottage cheese into those eggs or, however we can get that additional protein in at that meal. But I always want to preface this as well, because even though we're trying to hit these protein goals, first and foremost, we want to make sure that you're still listening to your body and you're not just shoving protein down your throat to hit a certain goal. Okay. Every single meal that we're going to talk about here today, every single thing that you put in your body, it's always really important that you listen to your body first. And first and foremost, follow your body's hunger cues. Okay. We want to make sure that if you're not hungry, genuinely, you're not force feeding yourself. Now, again, there's a little bit of a balance here because if you're not waking up hungry, that's telling us that our metabolism's off a little bit. And again, you might be feeling this because maybe you're not hungry first thing in the morning, but then you find that you're starving by lunch. And again, everything just kind of is spiraling from there. So I don't want to force you to eat first thing in the morning, but I do highly, highly encourage you. If you're not eating in the morning, you're not hungry, and you say, well, I don't really even want something. I want you to just start small. We don't have to hit the 25, 30 grams of protein right out of the gate first thing in the morning, but start building in a small meal first thing in the morning so that we can start regulating your metabolism. Okay. Now, so that kind of goes into our next question, which is, should we have that mid-morning snack or not? So this is where you want to ask yourself, are you starving by lunch or are you not? I know me personally, I really need that mid-morning snack. But that mid-morning snack for me, a lot of times is my protein bar or my protein shake or my yogurt cup, something that's not quite a fully balanced meal, but it's a little bit more protein that's going to hold me over until I eat my lunch because I personally eat my lunch pretty late in the day. So maybe you're not quite hungry for that snack right then and there. Let's say you have a work break or, whatever it might be. You might not be quite hungry for it yet, but you also know that you don't want to find yourself absolutely starving at lunchtime. So that's where that snack would be appropriate and another great opportunity for you to sneak some more protein in there. Okay. So now let's talk about lunch. Lunch is honestly one of the hardest meals for the vast majority of moms for so many reasons. This is the one where you either have to pack it to bring to your office or maybe you work from home. But because of that, now you just have really jam-packed your day and you are just finding yourself slammed with meetings every single day. And it's hard to step away from the computer to go downstairs and make yourself something. So again, maybe you don't have to necessarily pack your lunch to bring into the office, but you kind of needed something that was quick and convenient and easy to grab right in between meetings. Or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom with your kids and you're constantly traveling from one place to the next, picking up, dropping off, going to whatever activity that they've got planned for that day. And you just find yourself in the car a lot and you're thinking, okay, well, I can't really eat anything in the car because I'm traveling. Again, there are options for you here, but you really have to prep and plan and be ready to grab those things. Okay. So I understand why this is like the most skippable meal or why we find ourselves eating the scraps off of our kids' plates or whatever. However, there are meals that we can prep pretty quickly and easily, have things stored in the fridge that are well balanced. Again, hit those macros that we are looking for, including the protein, and are going to hold us over and give us that balanced meal that our body is really craving and looking for in the middle of the day. So we don't find ourselves, one, overeating at dinner, or two, having those cravings after dinner. Now, if you're looking for recipe examples, I do actually have a free resource for you. If you check out the link in my show notes, it's one of the links on my website. I will link it in the show notes for you. It has my top 10 favorite high protein recipes, and you're going to actually get a little bit of everything, breakfast, lunch, dinner in there as well. So check out some of those if you are looking for those ideas as well. And then that afternoon snack. So maybe that lunch that we now have had under control is plenty and you ate it late enough in the day that you're actually pretty good. You don't really need a snack before dinner. Maybe you're not eating dinner until later, so you do actually need to plan for that afternoon snack. And it's another nice opportunity to squeeze in some more protein. Here's where we want to be careful though, because so many times I have seen people saying, well, I'm just grabbing some cheese and some nuts and some crackers. Okay. Yes, that has some protein, but here we need to be really careful about portion sizes because the portion size of grabbing some almonds is about 4 almonds. The portion size of cheese, again, very, very small amount of cheese in order for it to fit into your macros for the day. Not only that, the almonds and the cheese both are really high in the fat calories of our macros. And so this is where we can so easily accidentally be eating too many calories that are based in fat. Okay. And that is something else that I see is really common in holding women back. Again, same thing with like peanut butter. If we're having like an apple and peanut butter, again, I love peanut butter, but the serving size of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons, which if you measure that out is not very much. And that in itself is a couple hundred, I don't know off the top of my head, a couple hundred calories right there. Okay. And again, at the end of the day, if we have weight loss goals, fat loss goals, the only way to really reach those is to be in a calorie deficit. Now, again, in previous episodes, I talked about this. I'm not telling you to go out and eat 1,000, 1,200 calories per day. We don't want to be in an extreme deficit by any sense of the imagination, right? We want to be in a minor deficit so that we're not fighting ourselves, starving ourselves. But this is where those extra calories can sneak in when we are having that like peanut butter, things like that, that are really high in cal. Okay. So again, do you want that afternoon snack? Yes, great. Maybe here's where you sneak in a protein bar. Here's where you have some veggies and hummus, a little bit of cottage cheese, whatever it might be. But again, plan for it, have things on hand that are easy to grab and hold you over till dinner so that you don't find yourself reaching for chips or pretzels or something like that. That again is just those empty calories while you wait for your dinner that is going to have your nice balanced calories and macros in that meal. The only thing I'm going to say about dinner is that if you are finding yourself eating in that way that we talked about, where it's really kind of just the protein, the veggie, the complex carb, that's amazing. The thing I want you to pay attention to here, though, is what are your portion sizes like? We talk about portion sizes in that episode 7 as well, because this is where not only the portion sizes are important, but it's really important for you to listen to your body here as well. We want to stop eating when we're about 80% of the way full or satisfied, okay? Because that's our body's cue to tell us, hey, we're good. We've gotten all the calories we need. And this is where those extra calories can sneak in as well if we're not listening or we're eating too quickly or we're distracted while we're eating because we're watching a show or on our phone or whatever that might be. So we want to make sure that we're just paying really close attention to that. I also offered a free resource that is a meal guide. So if you're looking for an easy way to just like grab and make those dinners, we don't have to constantly be on the hunt for recipes, right? Sometimes boring is easy and it is the best thing for you. So if you want that meal guide, go ahead and shoot me a message and I can get that over to you as well. Now, speaking of those hunger cues, the last thing I'm going to say too is a lot of times our hunger cue can be mistaken for a thirst cue. So like I talked about back in the beginning, are you drinking enough water? Because if you are not, your body's hunger cue could actually just be your body's way of saying, hey, we are really thirsty. We need some water. And if you actually go drink a bunch of water or you're drinking your water all day long, you'll find that those hunger cues will lessen a lot as well. So all in all, number one, I'd love to know how this resonated with you and if this helped at all. And number two, if this is you and this did resonate, my advice to you today is this. Please, please, please don't try to go change everything at once. Okay. If you're going to pick anything to change the way that you start your day. Start your day with number one, water, delaying coffee, just again, minimal 30 minutes to an hour, and have something that is higher in protein for your breakfast. Because if we can start our day right, we are going to feel so much more motivated and likely to carry those actions and those choices through to the rest of your day. So if you are looking for somewhere to start, that is where I would start, and let the rest of the chips fall where they may. Just again, making the best choices that you can with what is placed in front of you. And then after a few weeks, once you feel like you have a really great handle on all of your breakfast changes, then tackle lunch. Pick a couple of recipes that sound really good for you and easy to prep ahead of time and grab for lunch. Then tackle that for a few weeks and make that your goal of really focusing in on creating a well-balanced lunch that you can pack and grab in advance. And then you can start working in those different snacks and so on and so on. And lastly, if you're not totally sure if this is what you're doing or not, or maybe again, you're sitting here thinking like, I don't do that. I do better than that. I want you to genuinely go in and see if that's true. Maybe it is. But maybe if you go in and you track or you write down or record every single thing that you put into your mouth for a few days, maybe you'll surprise yourself. Maybe you'll surprise yourself in a good way. Maybe you'll surprise yourself in the way that says, oh my gosh, this hit home harder than I thought it did. And I don't mean just tracking what you think you're eating or recalling what you ate throughout the day when you sit down at the end of the day to put it all in. I mean, record it as you are eating, as you are placing bites in your mouth, so you actually get a very accurate picture of what you are putting in your body throughout each day for about a week, because every day is a little bit different. And we want to make sure that we're getting a good whole picture. This can truly be a reality check for so many of my clients, because we really start to convince ourselves that it's like, I'm not doing that bad. I'm barely eating at lunch, or I'm barely snacking throughout the day, or I'm barely, and again, you might surprise yourself because our brain plays these kinds of tricks on us where it's like, oh, well, I deserve that because I went for this extra walk, or I decided to just take a handful because what's a handful going to hurt me, right? Really start sitting down and being genuinely honest with yourself. What all are you putting into your body on a daily basis? Okay. And that right there might give you all the answers you need so that you know exactly what you need to change right off the bat. Now, I know it can sometimes be really overwhelming to make some of these changes, to even know where to start. And not only that, sometimes we really need that extra support and that mindset shift for how to make sure that we can stick with this, how to make sure you're not beating yourself up over the choices that you are making, how to make sure you can stay consistent with this even on the days that it's hard. There are so many mindset shifts that we need to make, especially as moms, when we are caring for all of these other people in our lives that really, let's be honest, aren't just our kids, because it takes a village, and we're caring for our other village and our spouses and our extended families and our parents, and there's so much going on, right? And so when we're pouring into everybody else, it is so easy to get lost in taking care of ourselves. But the saying goes, and it is still so, so true, we have got to fill our cups first so that we can fill the cups of others. Because right now, if we're just running on empty, we're not giving them all that we're capable of. And they deserve more, just like you deserve more. And sometimes we need that extra support in order to get there. Because I'm going to be honest, and I want you to be honest with yourself. If you have been trying to get there on your own for so long and you still find yourself struggling, it might be time to say, you know what? I do need support. I do need to invest in my health. And if that is you at this time, again, I encourage you, reach out. We can have a conversation about it first, or apply for that one-on-one coaching spot online at AllisonHaleyFitness.com. Now, with that, as always, if this episode resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with a friend, leave a review, a rating, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you again for joining me. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Realistically Consistent. If today's episode helped you, please hit subscribe and leave a quick rating as it helps my moms find the show. You can visit AllisonHaleyFitness.com for more tools, tips, and ways to stay connected. And just as a quick reminder, I'm here to share general information and encouragement, but this podcast isn't meant to replace professional medical or health advice. Everyone's circumstances are different, so be sure to check in with your trusted healthcare provider before making any big changes. Thanks again for being here, and until next time, keep showing up for yourself one realistic step at a time.